I've been searching for Riley for the last 12 years. I know my sister's not dead.
Shelby Oaks is the directorial debut from YouTube critic turned filmmaker Chris Stuckmann. We finally got to see some footage from the new film arriving this October just yesterday. The film has also had some terrifying marketing teasing a mysterious story that is about to unfold. As an Ohio native myself, just like director Chris Stuckmann, I have noticed a ton of parallels in the brand new trailer that I think Chris is very clearly riffing off of in this new movie. So let's break down the new trailer as well as talking about some of the hellish real-life events that may have inspired this upcoming film. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. We're about to get Stuckmannized for the first time at the theater on October 3rd when Shelby Oaks finally drops. That is going to be a great day for new horror films, by the way, because Shudder is also releasing their 8th installment of the VHS franchise called VHS Halloween the same day on streaming. There's gonna be so much horror to watch that day, it's going to be a glorious way to start off the spookiest month of the year. Shelby Oaks, however, follows Mia, whose sister Riley disappeared 12 odd years ago. Riley hosted a YouTube channel with her friends called The Paranormal Paranoids that saw the group investigating local haunted locations. During their shoot at the abandoned city of Shelby Oaks, Ohio, the disappearance occurred, with Riley's 3 friends found dead at the scene. When Mia uncovers more footage from the incident, it unveils something sinister being involved with the sisters' disappearance. Now, I'm excited for this movie for a plethora of reasons. If it's yet another potential example of the successful content creator to filmmaker pipeline that has worked for a few folks now, or the fact that both Keith David and Derek Mears appear in the film, I'm sold from that last point alone. The new trailer, however, showcases imagery that reminds me a lot of the scary state that I call home. There's a spooky abandoned prison played by the extremely haunted Ohio State Reformatory, and creature actor Derek Mears appears in the film, likely playing one of our many cryptids. Did I mention that Derek Mears is in this film? You know, one of the coolest dudes ever? Yeah, I made that point 3 times. I don't care. We love Derek Mears on this YouTube channel. But seriously, this is the most Ohio-coded horror film trailer I think I have ever seen, and it makes a lot of sense considering that Chris Stuckmann still resides here. I've actually had the pleasure of talking with the guy about this movie recently. Speaking of real-life stuff inspiring this new horror film, however, I did some research on Chris, and not to get too creepy or nothing, but he was born in Boston Heights, Ohio. That is right next to the infamously abandoned town of Boston, Ohio, better known as HELLTOWN around these parts.
We have gotten all of your requests for HELLTOWN, but after talking with the guys, we're gonna go with our first plan of going through to Shelby Oaks first.
There are so many urban legends revolving around HELLTOWN, I don't even know where to start, and I'm sure that Chris is going to incorporate some of them into his own fictional narrative based on real-life events. Let's break down the true story. Boston started off as a pretty quiet little village founded in 1806, until 1974 when it became the striking ground to create the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. In an effort to expand our nation's forests, former President Gerald Ford signed a bill that gave the federal government's National Park Service jurisdiction to take back the land for the establishment. Residents were forced out of their homes, leaving the town abandoned. And then somehow this story gets worse. In 1985, the close-by Kretschke dump was analyzed by the EPA and subsequently closed the next year after 14 separate locations across the 47-acre junkyard was discovered to have had toxic material. Park rangers who unknowingly went through these different locations became ill and even developed rashes all over their skin. Does that not sound like the perfect story to base a horror movie off of? Maybe Riley is gonna join the Toxic Avenger this fall and be another mutated monster on the big screen this year. The HELLTOWN story gets even stranger, as over the years a Presbyterian church in town was said to have been taken over by Satanists where upside-down crosses could be found before the place was ultimately torn down in 2016. And there were even sightings of a mutated snake called the Peninsula Python that was allegedly created by the toxic chemicals from the dump. Shelby Oaks is very obviously based off of the Boston, Ohio story, but there's potential for so much crazy bullshit to be happening in this film, especially considering that Chris Stuckmann basically grew up here listening to these urban legends probably throughout his whole young life. When I was in high school, I remember hearing about HELLTOWN, Ohio, and how there was specifically a bus stranded in the middle of the street there that had a bunch of ghosts in it. You could only talk to them if you were to enter the bus at some point. I don't know if that's true, but it's something I remember hearing all the time when I was younger. The question now is, what urban legend from HELLTOWN will Stuckmann hyper-focus on with this new story? Because I don't know if we're gonna see a VFX snake going around and biting people's heads off here. Seriously though, I think this movie is going to focus on some sort of satanic cult. In the trailer, when Mia is doing her typical horror movie research, she comes across the word incubus in a book, which is followed almost immediately by the word parasite. An incubus can be defined as a male demon believed to have sexy times with sleeping women. That's disgusting, but also sounds like something a satanic cult may want to bring into this world for nefarious purposes. Maybe to bring about an antichrist. We also see Mia finding a scary old woman living out somewhere in an abandoned house outside of Shelby Oaks by herself. Or is she by herself?
Nope.
Maybe Riley is being kept at this abandoned prison that we keep seeing in the trailer, with her demon baby spawn running around all grown up now. Once again, maybe played by Derek Mears. Fingers crossed. Something strange is obviously happening with Riley just based off of this trailer alone. I think anyone can kind of pick that up. The trailer even opens up with the male character who utters "she wouldn't let me go" moments before he takes his own life, with an inciting incident tape labeled Shelby Oaks left in his bloody hands. This is what seemingly kicks the story off into motion. That tape leads her sister Mia to believe that she's still out there for whatever reason. Whatever is on that tape is clearly some very valuable information. My theory right now is that Riley and her friends went out and filmed some sort of weird video at Shelby Oaks. You know, the kinds of videos you would have seen on YouTube here in the late 2000s. That was the golden age of this platform.
These shits rule. These shits suck.
They run into some sort of Satanist cult, everybody dies except her because they want to keep her alive to potentially bring some sort of demonic baby into the world. I don't even think that's too far of a stretch, even though if someone walked into the room right when I said that, I would imagine they think I'm crazy. The ominous posters for this film work with that theory too, that read, "They all just stood there, all amidst the death and rot. The seed shall be sown, you should be so proud of her." That sounds like something a Satanist cult would say about a girl they kidnapped and forced to create a demon baby. The seed shall be sown? What else could that mean? We're not gardening here, fellas. This is a horror movie. That's my dark and pretty disgusting theory, but what do you guys think is happening here in Shelby Oaks? You can even look for more clues on the Paranormal Paranoids fan website. Something else I want to throw out there real quick before we wrap up today's video is that they shot this movie locally here in Northeast Ohio. So if you guys want to see me do some filming locations, I already have a few listed out, like the Ohio State Reformatory. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see that video sometime before this movie releases on October 3rd. Hey everybody, before we wrap up today's video, please make sure to subscribe to this page for more horror movie content just like this. It's Halloween 24/7 here, always talking about upcoming horror releases, so make sure to subscribe. Also, the best way to support this page is by becoming a member or checking out the merch store. So definitely check out both of those things by clicking on the links in the description of this video. Leave me your crazy theories about Chris Stuckmann's new horror film down in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching, please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.